to the 6th episode of GDF Diaries. Today I am joined by the beautiful Lisa. I've known Lisa for, how long have I known you for?
I want to say about 8
9.
years. 8, yeah, 9
Well,
years.
Yeah, 2012.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, many years. And she's agreed to come on my show and obviously share her story. Before we start, can you introduce yourself? Tell me what you do. Tell us what you do.
Okay.
How old you are.
Okay, so I'm looking. My name's Lisa. I'm 28 years old. I am a paralegal and I work for a government department.
Nice. Okay. So
and I'm also a mother. Actually, add that part in because that is a part of my credentials.
You can't tell though. Damn girl, yummy mommy. Nice. Okay. And what did you study that in uni and stuff like that?
Yeah. So I studied law undergrad and I'm currently completing my LPC. So I should be finishing in August. And for those that don't know what LPC is, it's the legal practice course. So it's like the last, I guess, studying element of becoming a solicitor, and then you practice.
That's sick. Well, educated over there. Loving that. Okay, so today I feel like obviously we've spoken about what we're going to speak about today. It's going to be a kind of a different view and angle from what we've previously discussed with other people, and I'm really excited about this one. So let's get the ball rolling.
Okay. Well, first and foremost, actually, I just want to say I'm really, really excited about this because, I love what you're doing and I fully am in support of it. This is not something that I've done before, so it's a bit out of my comfort zone, but it is something I feel really passionate about, so that's why I'm here today.
Oh, thank you. You know what? I appreciate that because I feel like it takes a lot of, what's the word? It's brave, should I say? Because I know it's the courage. Like, it's not easy for you to come and speak your truth and things that you've been through, things that you've witnessed. Like, it's not easy. Mm-hmm. So I do appreciate that.
Girl. Okay, cool. So where do you want to start? I don't know. How do you want to...
Literally, let's kick it off with, like I said, it's a different angle. So let's kick off with that.
Okay, so I'm speaking about domestic violence from the perspective of a child that's grown up in a household where domestic violence took place, and I can say that it was a lot. From as young as I can remember all the way up until I was about 17 or 18, I was living in that environment, and I don't think it necessarily stopped at that age. The only thing that changed was the fact that I went to university. But
so you got out of the environment.
Yeah, I got out of the environment, but as much as I physically was out of the environment, my mind was very much still what's happening at home. So it made it very difficult for me to kind of settle. But obviously, just to backtrack a bit, respecting my parents' privacy, I won't go into too much detail about specific scenarios or situations. Yeah. But as a child growing up in that environment, it was very difficult. If I'm honest with you, at some points, I really did feel like I was being punked. And I know it sounds so silly to say, but I actually...
It's surreal that this is happening.
Yeah, I think it was more so the fact that I used to tell myself as a child, this is, my parents are, they're joking, or it's not real, or, they're just doing it to, kind of toughen me up.
Thinking, looking back now, would you say that's kind of your coping mechanism, maybe? That you felt no, this can't be real, or are they... or is it just you genuinely felt is this actually real?
I think for me, it was more so the fact that something could happen on a Tuesday and then everyone would act normal on a Wednesday. So because of that, I think as a child, you don't really understand, isn't it? You're just thinking, okay, well...
That just happened.
On Tuesday, everyone was going mad. There's police here. These things were happening quite frequently. And also, just imagine being in primary school, and madness has happened the night before in your household. Police, your neighbours have called the police. It's a lot of disruption till all maybe 3, 4 in the morning, and then at 7, 8 o'clock, I have to get ready and go to school. and I act like
And
everything's
how did
normal.
you deal with that going to school, like mentally, I would even say, because you just had a whole night of probably not being even sleeping and you went to school?
Yeah, I think... Sorry, I'm actually like... I'm not shaking, I think...
Take your time.
I think I've suppressed so much feelings around that obviously this is the first time I'm probably I speak about it with my friends or people that know, but as in actually opening up about it.
If there's anything you don't want to go into, just...
I think for me, going into school, it was difficult because I wasn't allowed to speak about it. Do you know what I mean? So as a young child, I guess you go to school, you see teachers, like you have a favourite teacher, you've got your best friends or whatever, and I've come into school, I'm so like, I feel like I'm so spaced out, I'm not allowed to talk about what just happened in my house because one, it would implicate my parents in some way. I'm thinking about, you know, what are people gonna say? And I think in some ways it's weird because I feel like school was kind of like my escape or my outlet, in the sense that I think that's why now I'm so focused on kind of being an overachiever. Not because I didn't really want to, but I feel like that was what I kind of clung to. Like, I liked being in school and I liked doing things just for the fact that do you know what I mean? And you kind of knew what you was getting. Yeah. Whereas times when I would come home, like I'm literally walking up to my door. This is not even just primary school. I'm talking about secondary school, college. Like I'm walking up to my front door and it's like, I'm just thinking, what am I gonna find today? Do you know what I mean? Because certain times I'll be walking towards my door and I can already hear the shouting and the craziness from down the road. So, I mean, it kind of, I don't know, it restricted me in a way of, because sometimes I didn't really want to go anywhere. I found it hard to be kind of social with people because like my friends would invite me places and I'll be like, oh no, I don't really want to come. And it's not because I didn't want to come, it's because I'll be thinking, oh, but what's gonna happen when I'm not at home? Because I felt like, and it's so bad because at such a young age, I felt like it was my responsibility to protect that particular parent. So I would not do a lot of things because I was scared of what would happen. And it makes me sad to say because that particular parent, like they would say to me, go, I'll be fine, like don't worry about me, go and enjoy yourself. But it was difficult to do that because I could be at my friend's house, I could be at a sleepover, I could be somewhere and I'm just thinking, what's happening? Do you know what I mean? And it is I feel like it's conflict in here, but it's a lot of like mental turmoil, like especially like as we previously spoke, but down to I'm 28 years old now and I still have dreams of certain scenarios or
would you, sorry to cut you off, so would you say, because I was going to go into like the mental health sector, so would you say in terms of like relationships, because you did say that you was restricted from what you could say at school or just mention anything to your friends or whatever, would you say that it's kind of affected your relationships with people, of how open you are, or just like your mental well-being, emotional well-being as well, obviously?
Yeah, so okay,
I actually asked you a lot of questions.
Honestly,
sorry. Let's start with your mental and emotional well-being.
I'm just trying to catch up. Yeah, so okay, cool. In regards to my mental and emotional well-being, I'm seeing more of an effect on all my experiences, like my childhood experiences. I'm seeing more of an effect now in my adult ages. I think I'm more aware and I notice it more because when we're adults now, you can't do certain things to certain individuals and not expect people to pull you up on that thing.
That's it.
So it's like, okay, cool. One way that I would say my experience obviously translates into my adult relationships is my relationships with partners, yeah? So, and this is why, because I wanted to make it clear that I'm not here to say that, you know, men are the only ones that are abusive, because women can be abusive. Obviously, we hear about men probably doing it a bit more.
Majority of the time, but
exactly, but it is. And what I would say is, for me, because of what I experienced growing up, and it wasn't just down to domestic abuse, it was because domestic abuse, people just look at it as one thing, like hitting, and domestic abuse is a combination of, you know, financial abuse, emotional abuse. So there's a lot to it. And growing up, I always had this thing in my head of, I'm never gonna let a guy control me financially. I'm never gonna be so dependent on someone that they can kind of pull the strings. I'm never gonna let a guy hit me first. But what happened with that is, then in my relationships, I was the aggressor. So I would hit someone before they would even think about touching me.
That's really interesting, because people don't really talk about that often. Do you get what I mean? So it's really interesting and very, like, you know, very open of you to, like, you know, admit that. So I'm just thinking, would you say that's a defense? I'm not justifying, obviously, your actions. I'm just saying, would you say that's kind of like a defense mechanism for you, that, you know, you don't want to be going through anything that you've witnessed or anything like that, kind of?
No, yeah, definitely. I would say that, because as I've got older, and obviously from dealing with people, I know that is wrong. Do you know what I mean? I know that irrespective of the situation, you should never put your hands on any individual, regardless of how angry you are, whatever it is, because at the end of the day, we've all been given a mouth. We all need to, I feel like it's important to learn how to articulate yourself and communicate. So it's like, you know, in those moments when I did it, or when I do it, it's because I feel like sometimes it was defense mechanism. Like, if someone's in your face, you know, what are you gonna do to kind of get them out? You just wanna, or other times I think it's just that kind of fight or flight. So it's like you can kind of walk away, or
you fight your battle.
You just, do you know what I mean? And that's how I think, because of my experiences, my relationship with men in general, I don't feel like there's an issue, but it's like, my first example of a man is what I obviously witnessed at home.
And that's what pretty much everyone, that's why it's important to have those healthy relationships within a family.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like, with guys, it's like I'm always ready. Even if I don't need to be ready, I'm always ready.
You're already ready to go, okay.
I'm ready. And that's not necessarily a good thing. And obviously, I'm glad to say that now I've done a lot of work on myself, and obviously just through my relationships, because I had a previous partner who, he was very understanding of what I was going through, because there was a period where I didn't bring people to my house because I didn't know what you were gonna get. Do you know what I mean? There's certain people who come to my house and they can say, I saw this has happened. So for me, obviously, him being my boyfriend at the time, he came, he saw, and he was like, okay, like, that's why
makes
that's
sense
why
as to why
she's that, do you know what I mean? Or that's why she's so. And I remember, like, you know, he helped me through a lot of different situations, or just gave me that another escape, because a lot of times I didn't want to necessarily be at home. And I remember, like, sitting down, I think this was a turning point for me in realizing that what I was experiencing wasn't normal, was when, you know, I had a conversation with him, and he was talking about his parents, and he said he'd never seen his parents, like, even have an argument.
Wow.
And for me, that was like, so like,
yeah, like,
do you know what I mean? Like, what? So I said, well, you've never heard them shout, or, and he was kind of like, no, like, if they had an argument, they would do it behind closed doors when the kids weren't around. And I felt like that was so good, because just how he was as an individual, like, come on, he was dealing with me.
Yeah, it's true.
He was dealing with me, and yeah, like, he was so patient, so understanding, so gentle, and you can tell that he was raised in such a healthy environment. So I think that was like a huge turning point for me in understanding where a lot, because I think I just grew up quite angry, like.
But that was your normal though.
Yeah, I grew up quite angry, because just imagine, it's that, obviously it's not me that's physically being abused, but you kind of feel that the impact, the burden, like, and I hate to say it, but the embarrassment, because there'll be times where, you know, things are going on, my neighbours are knocking the door, like, Lisa, are you okay? Like, do you want to come over? I'm thinking I do want to come over, but I
obviously,
don't want to leave because
would you
what's
say
gonna
you had
happen?
that whole, obviously you did explain you have that protective factor in you, but it's also in a way you grew up fast because you were like a mini adult, should I say, because you was protected.
I saw too much that I shouldn't have seen at a young age, and I heard too much that I shouldn't have heard, and I definitely feel like I grew up a lot quicker than I needed to.
Yeah, that childhood. Obviously, hopefully you had some kind of childhood. But in terms of like certain things the child shouldn't see, you saw and that made you mature and, you know, see life in a different way, I guess.
Yeah, and I think, you know, also the embarrassment of my peers, because young people, when you're a child, people can be horrible. Do you know what I mean? So, like, I remember where I lived, a particular person that I grew up with, that me and her, we always had, you know, she said, oh, you know, this parent is always doing this to that parent. And hearing that being pointed out by, well, you want to say a stranger, somebody, that's not nice to hear. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's embarrassing. You're like, it affects your self-esteem. And I think, again, that affected my relationship with people because I didn't trust anyone. I didn't trust people. I didn't. Even now, probably people might not a lot of people, because I'm sure when I first met you, you maybe didn't know how to approach me, or maybe you didn't know how to read me as a person.
That's definitely one thing. I didn't really know how to read you.
You didn't know how to read me.
And I'm definitely trying to always read people.
Exactly. And a lot of people can't read me, but I think if you're someone that's close to me, as you get to know me, she's actually, I hear it all the time, she's actually quite cool. Do you know what I mean? So it definitely created a barrier between me and people, me and relationships. Emotionally, yeah. I mean, right now, obviously, some people don't believe in counselling and stuff like that. Black people don't go to counselling, all that good stuff. I'm a firm believer of, even if it's not a counsellor, but speaking to someone and having that outlet and working on, like, it's just, I call it unpacking.
Okay.
Yeah, so now this is my second time doing counselling, but it all kind of stems from the same.
What age did you start, if you don't mind asking?
I think the first time I went to counselling was 2017. Okay. So I was.
That's interesting, because like what you said, a lot of black people always say, "Oh, counselling is not it. This, that. I'm gonna sit there and talk to people." But I feel like recently, quite a few people are starting now.
I'm sure my parents think I'm a joke.
But it's good because it seems like it's helping you, right?
Definitely. I know. It's so funny because I think people see it as a weakness. Like, why are you going to speak to a stranger? Or why are you going to tell your business to this person? And I get that. But at the same time, for me, that is my strength. I feel like now I'm able to speak about my experiences. I'm able to talk openly with people. And it's crazy because there's people who say to me, wow, I would have never known that you went through that. But
I am the people. I'm not going to lie.
I would have never known you went through that. But you know, some people take it and I've had people say to me, oh my God, like, that's so inspiring. Because as we spoke about it, like, for me, talking about this is so people have more of an awareness that it's not just about the two people that's in the relationship. Because it's very easy to stay in a relationship where there's domestic abuse, because it's not all the time. It's not, some relationships it is every day. It's an everyday thing.
But reality is a cycle.
It's a cycle. Do you know what I mean? Some days are good, some days are bad, but you stay in it. But I want people to kind of look at it as, sometimes you need to leave that relationship, not for yourself, but for who is dependent on you, your children. I love both of my parents to death. Do you understand what I mean? But I feel like if somebody had the courage in that situation to say, do you know what? This is not right for my young daughter, this is not right for my son, because it plays out in different ways. For me, it played out in a way of, okay, cool, I ended up in relationships where there was no physical abuse, but from them to me, but there may have been emotional, a lot of emotional manipulation, a lot of emotional abuse. Ways that it could have played out for my sibling, who's a guy, who is that he could be aggressive with women. Do you understand what I mean?
Because that's what he's seen.
But that's what he's seen, and that is a norm to him. So I feel like until you're put in a position where you're around people who don't experience these things, or who...
That's when it clicks
that this is not normal.
And would you say, obviously, I'm thinking back to probably like my own family members as well, like in terms of normalization within the black ethnic minority, like, I don't want to say minority, but like the black community, should I say, it's just so normal, the normalization of domestic abuse. I don't think they know that it's abuse. Like, did you get what I'm saying? Like, they don't even know that's what they're going through.
You know what? Because it's so crazy, because I think it's normalized. It's like, even the abuse from parents to children, it's like, well, it's like, you know, it's like, discipline.
Yeah, so it's normal. But then I feel like we even banter it as well, because it's normal to us. Like, oh yeah, I got licked. Like, I feel like now we're more like, okay, we realize that was so wrong.
That was wrong.
But like when we used to talk about uni, I feel like those days we'll probably be like, boy, we got licked like
what
this.
What kind of beats did you get? I got this one. Like, and it's crazy.
Though, like,
it's not normal.
Yeah.
It's not healthy. And I understand discipline. I totally get that. But there's a line between discipline and then taking out your own frustration. Because now that I'm an adult, now that I'm an adult, I understand and a parent, I understand how easy it is to take your frustration out on your child. Like, and when I say your frustration, not because they did something, your own personal, I've gone to work, I'm tired, I've come home, and now I'm going to take that out on my child. Do you know what I mean? So I understand how that can play out, but it is wrong.
Yeah, no, 100%.
But for me, it's very important as a parent, as, you know, whatever individual you are, whether you're the person that is doing the abuse or the person that is on the receiving end of the abuse, I feel like it's very important to consider those who it is affecting. Because I have spoken to young women who have said to me, and it breaks my heart because I just think it's not right, but who've said, you know, I'm my partner's doing this to me, my partner's beating me, but I saw my mum accept it, so it's not a big deal.
That's a big one, and I've actually literally seen that as well so many times, that I grew up with this, and you know, it worked out for my mum in the end, and it's like
and sometimes unfortunately it doesn't work out, and your mum is not here to tell the story. Do you understand what I mean?
That's the one.
Because I know I have a friend who her mum passed because of the effects of that kind of situation. So for me, as a mother to my daughter, I never want to be in a position, I don't even want to be responsible for her view to be, well, I saw my mum accept it, so I'm going to accept it. I don't want that on myself, do you know what I mean? And obviously, like, my parents, I feel like they did the best that they can, and obviously, thank God that days like today, these things are not happening. However, it's a long, like, it was a long road. It was a long road, and I'm still dealing with the effects of what I saw, what I witnessed, what I experienced.
And I think that's so important. That's why I really like this conversation, because it's so important to have that conversation with people, that how people have been affected by it, even though it wasn't, like you said, it wasn't to you, but you know, it was a big impact.
I mean, it's the, what do they call it? It's the domino effect at the end of the day. Like, I'm not the one that's getting abused, but at the same time, I'm also being affected, even when it's time, when I'm like getting involved to maybe separate an argument or separate a fight. I'm involving myself, and that's a lot of, for a child, and then going through adolescence, going through teen, whatever, it's a lot. Like, it's a lot to carry, do you know what I mean? Like, and I think it's we all know how relationships go, like, as adults, and I think now, because I'm a lot older and I've seen it play out even for myself, I've stayed in situations much longer than I've needed to, all because, you know, it's comfortable, the love, maybe if you're getting, I don't know, if you're getting, not in my case, but if you're getting financial assistance, that's another reason why you would stay.
It's the whole trauma bonding thing that we actually
exactly. But at the same time, a decision has to be made. I feel like we have a as a parent, I have a responsibility to my child to make sure.
You feel like that made a big difference for you as well? Like, obviously, your daughter being born.
100%. 100%. Like, my daughter being born, I feel like she doesn't even know, because she's a baby.
Thank God.
But she doesn't even know how much her being born opened my eyes to certain things, opened my eyes to know that I don't need to be in certain environments. I don't need to be in certain environments. I don't need to be in certain spaces. I don't need to deal with certain things. And that is not just limited to, that is across the board. That's in various situations. I don't need to deal with that because what would I advise my daughter in that situation?
Exactly.
But going back to the thing about people normalizing it, I feel like, you know, I had family members who would you know, try to get involved, but when it got too peak, they would take a step back.
Yeah.
And I get that, because as people, we're very good at, I'm gonna mind my business. But I feel like
At some point,
we
step
have a
in.
responsibility. Like, people always talk about this whole, it takes a village. And obviously that's not only limited to when you're raising children. I feel like we have a responsibility to each other. In that kind of situation, you can't turn a blind eye. You can't say, oh, well, that's just how that person is, because that is a statement
That statement needs to be
triggers
erased.
me.
If when someone is wrong or their behavior is wrong, I personally believe that statement you just made is very triggering. No, because people love to say that someone will act incorrect, whether you're a parent, whether you're an uncle, whether you're a child. If it's wrong, you can't be saying that's just how that person is.
Yeah, I hate that. And I think that's such a cop-out. I feel like, I get it with, like, especially amongst our community.
That's their favourite sentence.
Yeah, amongst our
Black
community.
people, and that's just how that person is.
And I get that you don't want to maybe intervene. You don't want to maybe call because again, a lot of us, or our community, there's a love-hate relationship between with the legal justice system and all of those things. So I understand that you might not want to make that step to report somebody for doing that thing, but you should at least, at the bare minimum, be committed to getting that person the help that they need, because that is what it is needed. It's help. Whether you're helping the victim, whether you're helping the person that is doing the abuse. Because what I found is, people that are the ones that are inflicting that pain, there's something not right with them. Some people, I don't think personally that they just do it because they enjoy it.
I feel like you said, it's a domino effect. However they grew up and what they, 100%.
Exactly, it's a deep-rooted issue that, and I'll be real, like, I'm someone who likes to go away. I like to reflect. I like to work on my bad parts, quote. But I feel like not everyone is comfortable facing their shadow side. Not everyone is comfortable saying, actually, that's a bit tapped what I do. I need to kind of work on that. Not everybody is comfortable doing that. So I think if you're not going to do anything as a brother or a sister, as a mother, as whoever you are, to the person who is inflicting abuse on whoever, if you're not going to do anything, the least you can do is try to get that person some sort of help. Because what are you going to do at the end of the day, when, God forbid, but when something happens to the person that they are abusing, you would feel that you would definitely, and you could pretend like you won't feel that guilt, like it's not my business, I'm not the one that did it, but you had a responsibility.
Yes, you did. No, it's true.
You had a responsibility.
And that's why it's interesting that you said that. I think even I don't know if you know about it, well, you must do, the recent domestic abuse bill, how children are now also victims and stuff like that, whether they hear it, not because they're like, you know, actually victims of it, but if they hear it, if they see it, you actually become the victim as well. And that's only come 2021. Yeah. That's so mad, you know. Like, and there's so much work left to do. So much work. Like, even I was looking on like the Crown Prosecution website, and obviously they speak about, you know, why people are hesitant to come forward. And there's a lot of different things that contribute to why people don't want to come forward, whether it's obviously the love, whether it's isolation, whether it's fear, culture. There's a lot of things, but I think there's a misconception that the victim is needed to progress certain cases, and that is far from the truth. If there's something called like evidence-led prosecution, so if the person, even if the victim doesn't want to press charges, they are not necessarily needed as long as they can prove, whether it's witness statements, whether it's, you know, footage or whatever it is that they can obtain, they can prosecute that person. So regardless if you're trying to protect that person or not, if there's any kind of evidence, and for example, children being one of the main, for witness state, children being one of the biggest, because they see so much. If social services get involved, that's it. Do you know what I mean? It's true. So even me sitting here today, I won't say like I'm protecting whatever parent, but for me, it's like
there's a lot of hush around it. You're not allowed to speak about it. You don't want to make this person look bad, and that's all well and good.
And that's kind of installed in you though, like without. It's not like they sit there, don't say that, but it's just in you that you're like, no, I'm not gonna say too much, and I feel like a lot of people growing up or even still being young have that most likely. And it's interesting that you mentioned that, you know, people don't really know much around their rights and what they can do and this and that, and like you said, they find it scary. And I feel like there should be much more, like, because I'll be honest, when I go on the websites, I don't even understand what they're saying.
About this,
I don't get what they're saying most of the time, girl, like. And it's like, it's not really fair, because I feel like maybe if it was very clear and there was like, do you get what I'm saying? Like, okay, this I can do, this I can't. Do you get what I'm saying? It'll be easier. Yeah. Because you see these big words and you'd be thrown up. That's me.
So this is the thing, because obviously this is about to be a real shameless plug. But,
do your thing, girl. Do your thing.
But so obviously we spoke about it. I told you so hopefully by the time that this comes out, I've started a page on Instagram called the Community Connect, and originally Community Connect. And originally it was to bring awareness to certain laws. So, you know, when we see stuff on like UK Gossip, Shade Bar and all those things, you know, people will be, I guess, recently we had, like, there was a guy called Black the Ripper who passed away, and his estate was up in question. So I want to bring awareness to situations like that, and then take out the golden nuggets. So what I would have done with that, for example, is draw reference to what law it is that affects estates and wills and things like that, and then give people practical advice and steps on how to go about that.
Easier context.
Exactly. So just to going off of what you said in terms of, you know, making the law understandable, making people know what they are allowed to do and what they, because at the end of the day, it's very difficult. I've spoken to people who say that they find the Gov website very intimidating. They don't even like going on there. Do you know what I mean? And that website is the website to use for majority of things that we need to get done. So what I hope to do with the Community Connect anyway is just bring awareness to certain laws, to certain situations, even situations that I've experienced, whether that's to do with legal stuff, whether it's like housing, and just I guess give people practical advice and steps and make them aware. So it's just kind of giving you a starting point. And it's basically similar to the citizens' advice, but with my own USP. Do you know what I mean?
No, you know what? I feel like that's something that's really needed regardless anyway. Because big women like me, I'm not that big, but big women like, I'll go in there and I'm confused. Do you get what I mean? So it's like, and I'm there on Google really trying to Google whatever that's meant to be saying. So it's definitely, I think
it's really unfair, because at the end of the day, I think a lot of people are hesitant when it comes to the law and their rights, because a lot of people are hesitant to, I guess, when it comes to the law and things like that, because they don't understand it. It's not written, and you know what's sad? I'm saying it because I work in this environment, but it's not written in a way for the lay person to understand, for the everyday person to understand, which I think
that's annoying though, because we
puts
need
them
that
at a
every
disadvantage,
day. Literally.
Which I think puts, like, especially because I don't want to just say black minorities, because there are other people who don't understand. But obviously focusing on what we're focusing on here, I feel like it puts us at a huge disadvantage.
100%.
And there's a saying that they say, oh, if you want to hide anything from black people, put it in a book. And I think it's proven in a way when it comes to the law, because it's very intimidating. And what I hope to do with the Community Connect is make it less intimidating and just give people a starting point and give them the confidence.
Scared,
Exactly. Because I don't know if people are aware of it or not, but there's, in this particular generation, our generation, Jackie, we are breaking some serious things. Do you understand what I mean?
100%.
Like, I feel like, and a lot of people, some people are aware of it, some people are not, but I feel like the turning point and the change starts with us.
100%.
And we might not even live to see the kind of the fruits of what we've done, but our children will experience that, and our children's children will experience that. Do you know what I mean? They will get to enjoy what we've created
like
here.
Blueprint right
100%. And I don't mind being the blueprint. Do you know what I mean? And you are gonna come against certain people. People are not gonna like it. Not everyone is gonna like it. Like I said to you today, my parents don't know that I'm filming, but they don't know I'm filming for this, because I don't want them to influence me in any way on what I'm gonna say or what. Do you know what I mean? but I feel like this is an important conversation to have. And I'm so happy that I didn't get emotional because
no, but I can see throughout the conversation I saw you getting
I tried to gauge myself. Do you know what I mean? But it is, it's difficult. It's a difficult one, but I think I'm glad. That's what I'm saying. I'm so grateful that people have your platform to come to you know, because I know you put out a lot of information and you're putting out these videos, and I feel like even if one person sees it, they might think, do you know what? I need to leave the situation that I'm in.
And that's the aim.
I need to
and that's why I'm loving that you're coming from a different angle as well, because there's people that have been or are in your position. And yeah, that's what I was going to ask you next. Like, what would you advise those people that have been or are in the situation you've been through, or, you know?
As in, for, like, okay, so
your personal. What would you say to your younger self, should I say?
I would say it's not your fault. It's nothing to do with you. I think it's crazy because what I would say to anyone that's going through what I had gone through is don't keep it bottled up. Don't keep it inside. Find an outlet, find a way to deal with, because at the end of the day, we're not robots. We see things, we go through things, and the memory doesn't just go away.
It remains.
It stays with you, and unfortunately, it can play out in different ways. And I think for me, I would say to anyone that's been in my predicament or been in a similar situation to me, do the work on yourself. Face those demons, you know what I mean? Face that. Don't be afraid to embrace the feeling of, this is what happened in my childhood, you know? Because it's okay, like, it's fine that it happened.
Said, it's not your fault. Yeah.
It's not your fault. You're born into what you're born into, do you know what I mean? And I'm not saying, as parents as well, that it's solely anyone's fault or whatever, but as parents, when you become a parent, I feel like, not to say you have to disregard yourself, but your feelings when it comes to relationships, you have to be able to put those aside, because ultimately you don't want to be raising any damaged children. And by the grace of God, I will never claim the title or I would never self-prophesy to myself that I am damaged.
Amen.
But I have been. Do you know what I mean? I have been, and I'm coming. I've come out of that.
Amen.
Do you know what I mean? That's behind me. So I think it's just really important for us as people to be aware and just, I know it's hard, but speak to someone, because you don't know
who could possibly help you,
there's so many people, and I know that it's difficult to speak about these things.
It's probably scary as well.
It's scary, it's intimidating, it's embarrassing, but at the same time, you're doing yourself more harm by not speaking. Do you know what I mean? You're doing yourself more harm by not speaking, because you don't, like, people will understand you a lot more. I think now, because I'm so open, people understand me way more. They understand where I'm coming from. Not to say it excuses my, like, things that I've done, but it makes things so much easier, because people know,
people get it,
how to deal with me, how to kind of come at me, okay, that is obviously going to put her on edge. Do you know what I mean? So that's what I will say, really. I'm not sure if there was anything else because I remember we spoke about quite a lot.
Yeah, we did.
We spoke about quite a lot on the phone. But
I feel, thank you, first of all, for coming on, because even for me, like I said, I've known you since uni, but I didn't know all of this. And now thinking back, you was quite defensive, but obviously it wasn't like, because obviously I didn't think into it. Everyone's different. That's so important. You don't know what someone's been through.
Yep.
So when people are defensive, or people are closed, or people don't want to be around people like that, we don't know what they've been through or are going through at that point. Do you get what I mean? And you saying that, okay, you was at uni, but your mind was at home, explains 100%. So much. Do you get what I mean?
100%.
So you ain't got time when people are, you're just thinking, shut up. Like,
stop talking to me. Y'all don't know what I'm going through.
Yeah, literally. No, but it makes so much sense.
It's so funny to me, because it's like, you can be, like, people misunderstand you so much. And let's be real, like at the time, we probably in uni we weren't the closest, so it's like you maybe didn't understand, because obviously we've got the same friends, isn't it? So you maybe didn't understand how come so and so is so close to Lisa, but I just think she's a bit weird. Like, do you know what I mean? I just think she's a bit standoffish. But it's like, I'm not going to go around. Yeah, because obviously, maybe at one point or another, I was able to share with that person. So obviously, they understand, okay, yeah. But
so they understood you as a person.
But I'm not going to go around, because I can be an oversharer, but I'm not. I'm not going to go around explaining to everybody, by the way, this is what happened. This is what happened. Because it's not their business. It's embarrassing and all those things that I obviously told myself at the time. But I think now that I'm older, like 8 years, 9 years on, I understand sometimes it's important for people to know where you're coming from. If people don't know where you're coming from, it creates a lot of misunderstanding. So, yeah. But yeah, I just want to say to anybody that is in that situation and feels like they are stuck, or feels like, not even from my perspective, but someone that is meant, if you're in a relationship and you're being abused, or you're being, whatever it is, don't feel like there's no way out. There's plenty of resources, there's plenty of people, Jackie being one of them, but there's plenty of people that you can reach out to, that you can get support from.
When you've got your page ready and stuff, to be able to go in there, right, to get some legal advice possibly.
100%, yeah, 100%. So I'm working with like someone that is a seasoned lawyer, I would say, because I haven't practiced yet. Obviously I've been working where I work, but I haven't practiced. But he will be available to give practical advice and take on certain cases.
Okay, that's
so yeah, like obviously more to come on that, but
no, that's great. Amazing.
Y'all keep your eyes peeled.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really, really appreciate it. Like I said, and I get my little please sip the water. No one sips the water. Not that it's poison or anything. It's actually like it's actually calm, but my little usual. Just to say thank you.
Thanks,
and I really appreciate it. I really actually really enjoyed it. This was a totally different angle. And is there anything else you wanted to add before we finish?
I think I'm all talked out. No, that's me done. I think I'm done.
Well, thank you so much again, and thank you guys for watching the 6th episode. As always, make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, bye.
Bye.